In this demonstration you will learn how to access attached properties with static methods. Let's switch to Visual Studio. Here you can see the event handler that you implemented in the previous clip. You used the methods getValue and setValue to read and write the attached property grid.column. Both methods are not typed. So when you hover the getValue method, you can see it returns the type object. This is the reason why you have to add here a casting to the integer type. When you hover the setValue method, you can see that it takes also an object. If you don't pass an integer to this method for the grid column property, you will get an argument exception. Now, instead of using these two methods to get and set an attached property, you can also use typed static methods that you find on the class that implements the attached property. So in this case, you find the static methods on the grid class that has also this attached column property. Now let's use, instead of getValue and setValue, the static methods of the grid class. To do this, I just copy these three lines and I press Ctrl+KC to comment them. Now I paste them again into this method. Now let's start here with the getValue method. Instead of using that getValue method, I use the grid class, and you see it has a getColumn method. This method takes a UI element and it returns an integer. So let's pass to this method the customer list grid, and then you will get the value of the attached grid.column property. Internally, this static getColumn method will actually call the getValue method on the customer list grid. But the great thing is that it does this casting internally, so you directly get an integer value from that getColumn method. Now let's also change the setValue method. Let's use the static setColumn method of the grid class. As you can see, it takes a UI element and an integer value. So let's pass again in our customer list grid, and let's pass in that new value that we have here in that new column variable. Now also here internally, this setColumn method calls the setValue method on the customer list grid. But as it takes here an integer, you will get a compile error if this new column variable would be of another type. So if I would write here, for example, in this case object, you get here a compile error and it says cannot convert from object to int. So you won't get a runtime error. Let's change it back to var, and now let's see if this works. Let's run the application. The application comes up, so let's click here on the move button and the navigation is moved to the other side of the main window. Let's click it again and it is back on the left side. Alright, so now you have built the user interface of this customer's application. Let's wrap up what you have learned in this module.